So get this, there was a study published in the Lancet, which is supposed to be a very prestigious medical journal. So they published this study, and then they withdrew it within 24 hours. And the headline here says, Lancet study on COVID vaccine autopsies finds 74% were caused by vaccine. Study is removed within 24 hours.
Well, thank God they took that misinformation down.
It's misinformation, Kurt. You know that.
Lancet? Who are they even?
a Lancet review of 325 autopsies after COVID vaccination found that 74% of the deaths were caused by the vaccine, but the study was removed within 24 hours. The paper, a preprint that was awaiting peer review, is written by leading cardiologist, friend of the show, Dr. Peter McCullough. We should have had him on to talk about this. Shit. Yale epidemiologist Dr. Harvey Risch and their colleagues at the Wellness Company, and was published online Wednesday on the preprint site of the prestigious medical journal. However, less than 24 hours later, the study was removed, and a note appeared stating this preprint has been removed by preprints with the Lancet because the study's conclusions are not supported by the study methodology. Well, isn't that what peer review is for? Isn't that then the peer reviewers review it and say no, right? I don't know. I don't know how this works. While the study had not undergone any part of the peer review process, it hadn't done any of it. The note implies it fell foul of screening criteria.
Oh, it probably had all the Russian earmarks of
a Russian. Yeah, it was Russia. The original study abstract can be found in the Internet Archive. It reads, background, the rapid development and widespread deployment of COVID-19 vaccines combined with a high number of adverse event reports have led to concerns over possible mechanisms of injury, including systemic lipid nanoparticle, LNP, and mRNA distribution, spike protein-associated tissue damage, thrombogenicity, immune system dysfunction, and carcinogenicity. The aim of the systemic review is to investigate possible causal links between the COVID-19 vaccine administration and death using autopsies and post-mortem analyses.
Well, there's your problem. You're not supposed to do that.
Not supposed to do that. The methods, we searched for all published autopsy and necropsy reports relating to COVID-19 vaccination up until May 18th, 2023. We initially identified 678 studies, and after screening for our conclusion criteria, included 44 papers that contained 325 autopsy cases and one necropsy case.
What's a necropsy?
Necrosis is death. I know that. Like I had necrosis of my bone, and I'm like, what is that? They go, that means your bone died.
So the person didn't die, but like a...
I don't know. So I don't look up what...
Another term for autopsy.
Oh, okay.
But then that would be 326 autopsy cases, wouldn't it? And not 325.
And one necropsy? So I don't... So 3 physicians independently reviewed all deaths and determined whether COVID-19 vaccination was the direct cause or contributed significantly to the death. The findings, the most implicated organ system in COVID-19 vaccine-associated death was the cardiovascular system, 53%, followed by the hematological system, 17%, the respiratory system, 8%, and multiple organ systems, 7%.
Oh, that's my buddy got, and he didn't say it was from the COVID vaccine, which is a great vaccine no matter what this says.
It's safe and effective.
But he got the Johnson & Johnson, the one that's still safe. They were called it. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
And he ended up getting diabetes, the kind you're born with, the type.
Yeah.
So, and he had all these blisters up his arms and his mouth because he was afraid of needles, so it was just one shot. That's why he got that one. He was telling me how ironic it was and so all of a sudden he's got blisters all up and down his arms. He goes to the hospital. They give him some painkillers, send him home. He wakes up, his throat's swollen and he's in the hospital for like 3 weeks because and he suddenly has the diabetes type whatever you're born with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because his body is attacking itself because of an extreme autoimmune reaction, which I guess is what diabetes is. And but he didn't tell me it was from the safe, effective, get it right now vaccine. Some people just get that from any vaccine. Never mind even how good the vaccine. They just get that from vaccines in general, a complete autoimmune reaction.
Some people.
Yeah, it's just they look at the numbers. It is rare. And even if it jumps whatever that 2,300%, but it's still rare, they're like, that's good enough.
Jimmy, we just wanted to clarify about necropsy. Necropsy is primarily used to refer to postmortem examinations on animal species, and autopsy is exclusively for humans.
Was it a raccoon dog?
Three or more.
What Pokemon was it?
3 or more organ systems were affected in 21 cases. The mean time from vaccination to death, 14.3 days.
Hey, if you made it past that.
Most deaths occurred within a week from the last vaccine administration. A total of 240 deaths, 73.9%, were independently adjudicated as directly due to or significantly contributed to by the COVID-19
they
vaccination.
Probably didn't get enough. That's what my guess.
Interpretation: the consistency seen among cases in this review with known COVID-19 vaccine adverse events, their mechanisms and related excess death, coupled with autopsy confirmation and physician-led death adjudication, suggests there is a high likelihood of a causal link between COVID-19 vaccines and death in most cases. Further urgent investigation is required for the purpose of clarifying our findings.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Without further detail from the preprints with the Lancet staff who removed the paper, it is hard to know what substance the claim that the conclusions are not supported by the methodology really has. A number of the authors of the paper are at the top of their fields, so it's hard to imagine that the methodology of their review was really so poor that it warranted removal at initial screening rather than being subject to full critical appraisal.
You don't want to platform it.
It smacks instead of raw censorship of a paper that failed to toe the official line. Keep in mind that the CDC has not yet acknowledged a single death being caused by the COVID mRNA vaccines. I didn't know that. Autopsy evidence demonstrating otherwise is clearly not what the United States public health establishment wants to hear. Dr. Claire Craig, a pathologist and co-chair of the Heart Pandemic Advisory Group, says that in her view, the approach taken in the study is sound. She told Daily Skeptic, the VAERS system of vaccine adverse events reporting, that's where you report your vaccine injury to VAERS. It's designed to alert to potential harms without necessarily being the best way of measuring the extent of those harms. Quantifying the impact of death can be done by looking at overall mortality rates in a country. However, this is imperfect, as a deficit of deaths would be expected after a period of excess deaths, making the accuracy of any baseline dubious. An alternative approach of auditing such deaths through autopsy is sound. And that's what they did with this study. There may be a bias in the study towards reporting the autopsies of deaths where there was evidence of causation, and the likelihood of causation might be exaggerated by that bias. For example, 19 of the 325 deaths were due to vaccine-induced immune thrombocytopenia and thrombosis, but these reports may be overrepresented because of the regulators' willingness to acknowledge such deaths.
What?
I don't know.
Wait,
Nevertheless, it is important because they're saying, well, they're looking for it. So the researchers are going to say it's this more because that's what they're saying. They have a bias to find it.
It's weird to say willingness to acknowledge, because I would think willingness to acknowledge those deaths would be, just what you're supposed to do.
Nevertheless, Kurt, it is important that attempts are made to quantify the risks of harm and censorship of these attempts rather than open scientific critique does nothing to help reassure people. Dr. Harvey Risch, one of the study's authors, told the Daily Skeptic he deems it pure government-directed censorship even after the Missouri v. Biden injunction. Meanwhile, my colleagues are studying what they call long vax, which is vaccine-caused damage. But of course, that is rare outcome, except that they seem not to be having any problems finding such individuals to enroll in their study.
It's so rare. So there you go. It's so rare.
No, it's very rare
that you put out a call. Hey, anybody get hurt by the vaccine? And
they get a lot of
show up out of the woodwork, probably because they're crazy.
Yeah,
because that's a great vaccine.
So let me just say that the vaccine is safe and effective, and that's why that study got pulled, because the vaccine is safe and effective.
And if you don't believe us, Crystal Ball has heard of the papers.
She's heard of the papers for sure. And the vaccines will keep you from getting seriously ill or hospitalized or death. And that's the beauty of those vaccines. So I'm just reporting that happened at the Lancet, and I'm not reporting that study is correct. That's obviously that study's incorrect.
A good friend of mine got four shots. She has COVID right now, and she's alive. That's what it does. She got it slowly.
That's right.
And she's alive, and she's not clogging up the hospital.
She's not clogging them up.
So follow her example.
So that's we should get that doctor on. He's McCullough. He's been on the show. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I remember.
And he's the leader in his field.
Well, he's not anymore. He's not.
I think he was either #1 published cardiologist in the world.
The most published cardiologist until now.
Until now. Come see our live shows. We're going to be in Chicago, Rosemont, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Toronto, Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.